There's certain topics you can talk about that will benefit you and increase the vibe and could make things flirty. And then there's other topics that are not gonna benefit you. Politics, talking about past relationships, talking about things that are not moving things in the right direction. So it's okay to talk about these things, but I don't wanna spend too long on those conversational threads. So if I'm in a conversation with a girl and it's really going off in the wrong direction, very early on, I wanna think, okay, if we keep talking about this topic for the next 5, 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the vibe's not going in the direction I want it to. So it's okay, I don't need to be mean and be like, no, we can't talk about this. I wanna acknowledge what she says, but then I also wanna be aware that I wanna move things back into a topic that's more ideal and beneficial to me. I only have 2 hours, 3 hours to talk to this girl on a date. So in those 2 or 3 hours, there's certain topics I wanna talk about. If one of my topics is going completely off in the wrong direction, I need to do whatever I can to bring it back to the right topics. In a sales call, the closer has a script that he needs to follow. Any closer, if you hop on a consultation call or a closing call, he's going to ultimately pitch you a product at the end of the closing call. So it's in his best interest that the conversational flow follows a script. They have a sales script. It's usually gonna talk about your pains, your goals, your ideals, where you see yourself, and then how the product could get you to that end destination. If the prospect starts talking about something that is not on script and is just going off in a completely random direction, the closer knows I only have an hour with this guy, and if we keep talking about his grandma for the next 30 minutes, there's no way I'm gonna be able to sell him on this fitness plan because it's not related to his weight loss goals. So he's gonna acknowledge what the prospect says about the grandma, he's gonna consult him and talk to him for 1-2 minutes about it, but very early on, he's gonna cut the thread and be like, I was really close to my grandma growing up, rest in peace, but she was amazing. She loved to cook Italian food, honestly. Anytime I would go to her house, and it almost always f***ed up my fitness goals, because when I would go out there, every time I was trying to get lean, I would end up eating the raviolis and stuff, and it would always end up making me fatter. So like, rest in peace to my grandma too, but honestly, like, man, that was so bad for my diet, I remember. So, I mean, how have things been going lately with your diet? And now I'm back onto the script versus him just talking about his grandma and where they grew up and the dog they had and what her grandpa was like and what the husband and wife was like. That dynamic is not beneficial to the end goal of the conversation. So whenever you're in an interaction with the girl, guys, especially early on, or if you're on a date, you always want to be thinking about topics that can lead to fun, flirty, sexy, adventurous, things that are like taboo, things that she doesn't really share with people, things that you could connect on, commonalities, things that you could end up teasing her about. These are the directions I want the conversation to go. I don't want an hour about her past ex relationship and how abusive that dude was, or how obsessed and in love they were, or what life has been like for the last 6 months that she's been thinking about this guy. The more I stay on those topics, the more it's gonna hurt my chances of maximizing my time with this girl. So she talks about that, I can acknowledge it. I'm not gonna be like, no, f that, I don't wanna do that. I acknowledge it, I talk to her about it a little bit, and then at some point, I'll switch topic back to the topics that are more beneficial to me. All right, and it can be relatively abrupt, guys. You don't need to hold the whole conversation. You can cut that shit out of nowhere. I'm talking about my grandma, and I was like, yeah, she made the best raviolis. Wait, by the way, I just noticed, you can make a completely different topic. It doesn't need to be this linear progression. Say one thing, oh, actually, by the way, you know what that just reminds me of, which is completely random and like off topic, but when we were talking yesterday, you said you were from Puerto Rico, right? I don't know why, it literally just came to my mind, and now I'm on a completely different topic. It's okay to just flip the switch. Okay, so these are a bunch of different things you gotta keep in mind when you're in an interaction with the girl. It's like, what conversation am I on right now? If this conversation continues for the next 10, 20 minutes, where are we gonna be at in terms of the vibe? Same thing with the positioning. That's why I tell guys, hey, when you're on a date, dude, the positioning matters. Because the closer I am to her, the easier it's gonna be to actually escalate and get closer to her. If I'm sitting really far away from her at the other side of the table and we stay like that for 2 to 3 hours, well, dude, I only had 2 hours with her. How am I ever gonna get her accustomed to my touch and get more comfortable with her? 2 hours, I wanna maximize that. So I'll sit at a place where there's another chair. I can pull up like right next to me. I'd rather she's sitting right here. Now I can talk to her right here. Our legs might touch a little bit. And then at some point in the day, we may end up standing up, going for a walk, moving over to the bar, bouncing to another venue, location changes. So you always want to think about these things. You guys see the bigger picture when you're getting into the interaction and see what the end goal is so you can reverse engineer your way to the end goal. All right, do those things and then you'll be able to run a solid date and get a good result from that.